you're lying in the dark again. The room is quiet, but your mind isn't. You roll over, check the time, 2:13 a.m. You tell yourself, okay, just stop thinking and sleep. And your brain says, great idea. But what about that message, that mistake, that thing you said 3 years ago? If you can't sleep because of overthinking and anxiety, if your racing thoughts at night feel louder than anything else in your life, stay with me. Because in this video, I'm going to walk you through a simple Stoic reset you can do in about 10 minutes. You can use it tonight. You can use it the next time you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering what's wrong with you. In a few minutes, I'll give you one question and one journaling move you can use to calm your mind at 2 a.m. For now, I just want you to listen. You don't have to fix anything yet. Just be here. You know this pattern already. You're exhausted. You scroll your phone until your eyes hurt. You finally put it down, promise yourself you'll sleep. And suddenly your brain hits play. You replay that awkward conversation. You rehearse what you'll say tomorrow. You imagine the worst-case scenario for that email, that exam, that bill, that relationship. You tell yourself, I need to figure this out before I sleep. And that's the trap. Because the more you try to think your way out, the deeper you go in. Lack of sleep makes your anxiety worse. More anxiety makes you overthink more. More overthinking means less sleep tomorrow. You wake up tired. You're more reactive. You snap at people. You make small mistakes. Those mistakes give your brain more material to obsess about the next night. That's the loop. By the end of this video, you'll have a simple Stoic framework to interrupt that loop. Not with vague, positive thinking, but with 3 practical moves you can actually do in bed when your mind is racing. Catch the spiral. Control what's yours. Let the rest go on paper. We'll wrap that inside one deeper reminder. You are not here to spend your one short life replaying the same thought spiral every night. Let me ask you something. How many nights have you already lost to the same fear, the same scenario, the same what if? And how many more are you willing to give it? Let's start with something important. You are not broken because you can't sleep. You're not weak because you experience overthinking and anxiety at night. Your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. Scan for threats. Review the past. Plan for the future. Try to keep you safe. The problem isn't that your brain is working. The problem is that it's stuck in emergency mode all the time. During the day, there's noise, notifications, work, conversations. You have distractions. At night, when everything gets quiet, the volume of your thoughts suddenly feels louder. Nothing changed in your life in the last 10 minutes. But now your brain finally has space to unload everything it shoved aside all day. So it dumps it on you at 2 a.m. Does this sound familiar? You hear a notification, but it's nothing. You see "seen" under your message, but no reply. You remember a weird tone in someone's voice earlier. You start asking, did I mess up? Are they mad at me? Did I say something wrong? Your brain is scanning for danger, not tigers, not physical threats, social threats, rejection, embarrassment, failure. Here's what the Stoics would say. Epictetus taught that it's not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Not the message, not the silence, not tomorrow's meeting, but what you tell yourself it all means. So no, you're not crazy. You're not doomed to be the anxious person forever. You're caught in a pattern of judgment and prediction. Your mind is trying to protect you from imagined futures and replayed pasts. Once you see that, something shifts. You're not this broken mind. You're the one watching the pattern. And if you can see the pattern, you can start to change it. Now, let me give you the main Stoic idea we're going to use tonight. It's simple, but it will keep coming back in different forms through this whole video. The dichotomy of control. In plain language, it means this. There are things you can control, and things you can't. That's it. Your thoughts at 2 a.m. love to mix those things up. They blend what you can influence with what you can't touch at all. And then they demand you solve everything right now, in your bed, half asleep. You can't control how someone will respond tomorrow. You can't control what they're thinking right now. You can't control the economy, the exam results, the what-ifs your brain throws at you. But you can control the story you tell yourself in this moment. You can control whether you add fuel to the spiral. You can control how you show up tomorrow. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you always have power over your mind, not outside events. Real power is inside. So tonight, our main move is this. At 2 a.m., you don't have to solve your entire life. You just have to switch your focus from what you can't control back to what you can. And we're going to use journaling as a tool to do that. Before we go into the full 10-minute Stoic reset, let's try a tiny micro-exercise right now. You can do this while you listen. You don't need a pen yet. Think of one thing that's making it hard for you to sleep lately. Just one. A conversation, a bill, an upcoming deadline, a relationship. Got it? Now, silently ask yourself, what part of this is actually mine to control, and what part isn't? Don't force an answer. Just notice what comes up. Maybe you realize you can't control their reaction, but you can control how clearly you communicate. You can't control whether anxiety shows up, but you can control what you do when it does. That question is the heart of this video. We'll come back to it again and again. In a moment, I'll walk you through using this question in the middle of a late-night spiral. And then we'll build your 10-minute reset around it. First, let's go a little deeper into the traps that keep you stuck. Because if you understand the traps, you can see them as they appear instead of being dragged by them. One trap is personalization. Something doesn't go the way you hope. The message is short. The tone is off. Someone is quieter than usual. Your brain doesn't say, maybe they're tired. It says, I did something wrong. They're upset with me. This proves I'm not enough. It takes every piece of data and points it back at you. Another trap is catastrophizing. You don't just imagine a small problem. You imagine the worst possible outcome. You don't just think, what if this project goes badly? You think, if I mess this up, I'll disappoint everyone, lose respect, and my whole life will fall apart. You don't just think, they didn't reply yet. You think, they hate me. It's over. I'll always be alone. Your mind is a professional disaster movie director. And at night, it plays the whole film in your head, in high definition. Then there's the time travel trap. You leave the present moment entirely. You go back to the past. You replay scenes where you wish you'd acted differently. You rewrite conversations in your head. Or you go into the future. You imagine 10 different versions of tomorrow. All of them stressful, all of them urgent. Your body, lying in bed, doesn't know you're only imagining. It feels the danger as if it's real. Heart rate up, breathing shallow, muscles tense. And now, of course, you can't sleep. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Your overthinking and anxiety at night is often suffering in advance for things that might never happen. So ask yourself, how many of your worst nights came from things that never actually happened? How many times did reality turn out softer than the nightmare your mind created? You're not a lost cause. You're not too sensitive. You've just been trained into the wrong habits of thinking. And if habits can be learned, they can be unlearned. So how do you break the loop when you can't sleep because of overthinking? You don't need a perfect no-thought mind. You need a simple way to interrupt the spiral, regain a little control, and remind yourself what truly matters. This is where your 10-minute Stoic reset comes in. We're going to build it around 3 moves. First, catch the spark. Second, filter through control. Third, empty onto paper. We'll also wrap this in something deeper. Memento Mori, the reminder that you are going to die someday. Not to scare you, to wake you up. Imagine this. You're at the end of your life. You look back. Do you really want the highlight reel to be hours and hours of lying awake, replaying conversations in your head? Or do you want to look back and remember that you learned to direct your mind even when it was loud? Memento Mori isn't about being morbid. It's about clarity. If your time is limited, then your attention is precious. Wasting it on the same midnight spiral is too expensive. So tonight, when your mind starts racing, I want you to remember this. I will die. My time is limited. I choose not to donate this hour to thoughts that don't serve me. You don't have to believe it fully at first. Just say it. Feel how it changes the weight of what you're thinking about. We'll weave this into your reset. But before we build the full routine, let's try a micro version. Right now, take a slow breath in through your nose. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Hold it for a second, and breathe out slowly. Now, quietly repeat in your mind, I won't waste my limited life reliving the same fear. Notice how that sentence feels in your body. Even if only 1% of you believes it, that's enough to begin. Now, let's build your 10-minute Stoic reset for those nights when anxiety won't let you sleep. You can adapt this. Make it your own. But listen to it all the way through first, so you understand the logic behind it. Imagine it's tonight. You lie down. Lights off. You're tired, but your mind starts its show. First move. Catch the spark. Instead of waiting until you're fully spiraling, you notice the very first signs. The first moment your mind goes, what if? The first replay of a conversation. The first tightness in your chest. In that moment, you don't judge yourself. You don't say, ugh, not again. You say, oh, this is the spark. You name it, quietly, almost like you're watching a cloud. There's the worry about work. There's the story about my relationship. There's the money fear. By naming it, you create a tiny bit of distance. You're not drowning in it yet. You're seeing it appear. Ask yourself here, where did my mind just go? Just that question pulls you back into awareness. Second move, filter through control. Once you've caught the spark, you gently put it through the dichotomy of control. Ask yourself, what part of this is mine to control right now from this bed? And what part isn't? You might realize you can't control the outcome of tomorrow's meeting. You can't control how long it takes them to reply. You can't control the entire future of your life tonight. But you can control whether you keep rehearsing disaster in your head. You can control whether you feed the story or let it slow down. Here's a simple pocket sentence. This is beyond my control tonight, but my focus is not. You can whisper it if you want, or just think it. Third move, empty onto paper. This is where journaling comes in. You don't need to write a novel. You don't need to have a beautiful notebook. You just need something to write on near your bed. A scrap of paper. A notes app if you really must. But paper is better. When your mind won't stop, it's usually because it feels responsible. It thinks, if I forget to worry about this, something bad will happen. So you give it reassurance. You tell your brain, you don't have to hold all this in your head. Let's put it somewhere safe. Here's the exact journaling move. Write down 3 lines. Line 1. What my mind is trying to solve right now is, and finish the sentence. Line 2. What I can't control tonight is, and list a few things. Line 3. What I can control tomorrow is, and list one small action. That's it. You are telling your nervous system, I see the problem. I understand what scares you. I'm not ignoring it. But I'm not going to wrestle it in my head in the dark. I'll meet it tomorrow when I have energy and daylight. When you do this a few times, your brain starts to trust you. It learns, okay, we don't have to stay up all night. They'll handle it tomorrow. In a moment, I'll walk you through a few situations where you can use this reset. Late night texts, work worries, relationship anxiety. But first, I want you to picture something. Picture a night where you use this reset fully. You're lying in bed. Your mind starts its usual script. This project is going to fail. They're going to be disappointed. I can't sleep with this anxiety. You notice the spark. You catch that first thought instead of the 50th. You quietly say to yourself, there's the fear of failing. Then you breathe and ask, what part of this is mine to control tonight? You realize you can't control their reaction tomorrow. You can't control the unexpected. You can control whether you show up prepared. You can control whether you sleep enough to think clearly. You lean over, turn on a soft light or use a small flashlight. Grab your notebook, and you write, what my mind is trying to solve right now is, I'm afraid this project will go badly and people will judge me. What I can't control tonight is their opinions, last-minute changes, every detail of tomorrow. What I can control tomorrow is reviewing my notes once, showing up on time, taking 3 deep breaths before I speak. You close the notebook. Then you whisper to yourself, I won't waste my limited life reliving the same fear. I'll deal with this in the morning. You blow out the worry like a candle. Take that slow breath again. And for the first time in a long time, your body believes you. That's the feeling we're aiming for. Not a perfect mind, but a mind that trusts you to handle things when the sun is up. You might be thinking, okay, but what if my problem is real, not just imagined? What if there really is a serious issue at work? What if the relationship really is fragile? What if the money situation really is tight? That's a fair question. Stoicism doesn't deny real problems. It doesn't say, just think positive and everything will be fine. What it does say is this: you meet real problems better with a rested mind than with a mind that's been tortured all night. When you let yourself sleep, you're not avoiding your life. You're preparing to face it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each day that he would meet challenges and difficult people. He didn't pretend they wouldn't exist. He just refused to let them own his inner state. So when your brain says, you can't sleep until you solve this, you can answer, I can't solve this well unless I sleep. That's a new kind of strength. Not dramatic, not glamorous, but powerful. Let's come back to that 10-minute Stoic reset and refine it into a clear sequence you can remember. Think of it in 3 words. Notice, name, note. Notice the spark. Name the fear. Note it down with control. You notice when the first wave of racing thoughts at night hits. You name what it's about. You note it down using the 3 lines. As you practice this, you'll build a new association in your mind. Overthinking appears. You no longer go straight into helpless spiral. Instead, your system goes, okay, we know what to do. We notice, we name, we note. You become a person with a process, not just a person with anxiety. That alone changes your identity. You're no longer the one who can't sleep because of overthinking. You're the one who has a stoic reset for nights like this. Now, I want to tell you a longer story. Not about some imaginary perfect person. About you. A future version of you. Let's say it's a few months from now. You've been trying to use this reset. Not perfectly. But often enough. It's another night. You had a rough day. Something at work went sideways. You got feedback that stung. You feel behind in life. You lie down and you can feel it starting. Why am I like this? Everyone else is moving forward. I'm stuck. The old you would have gone straight into the spiral. Hours of self-criticism, comparing your life to people online, scrolling through social media just to feel worse. But tonight, you pause. You remember, notice, name, note. You notice the first stab in your chest. You notice the first "I'm behind" thought. You name it. There's the story that I'm failing at life. You exhale, you sit up, turn on a small light, you reach for your notebook. What my mind is trying to solve right now is, I'm scared I'm falling behind and I'll never catch up. What I can't control tonight is the entire timeline of my life, other people's progress, the past choices I already made. What I can control tomorrow is focusing on one meaningful task, one step that moves me forward, and treating myself with a bit more respect. You put the pen down. Then something new happens. You remember Memento Mori, but this time it hits deeper. You think, one day I'll be gone. All these milestones, all these comparisons, they'll fade. What will matter is whether I live this short life awake or asleep inside anxiety. You feel a quiet sadness, but also a kind of relief. The panic doesn't fully vanish, but it loses its grip. You lie back down. You place your hand on your chest. You say softly, I'm doing my best with what I knew. I'll do better with what I know now. And tonight, I rest. You take that 3-count breath again. In, hold, out. You still have thoughts, but they're softer, less urgent. You fall asleep not because your mind is empty, but because you trusted yourself to handle life in the morning. That's the future we're building. One night at a time. You might still wonder, what if I try this and it doesn't work right away? It won't be perfect. Nothing is, especially at the beginning. There will be nights where you write things down and still feel wired. Nights where your brain keeps trying to pull you back into the spiral. That doesn't mean it's not working. It means you're retraining a mind that has spent years practicing overthinking and anxiety at night. The Stoics didn't believe in instant transformation. They believed in practice. Seneca compared philosophy to medicine. You don't take one dose and expect a lifetime cure. You take it consistently. You build new health slowly. This reset is your medicine, not to cure you of being human, but to teach your mind new habits. So, when it feels like, this isn't working, you can answer, it's working every time I interrupt the spiral, even for 1 minute. Every time I choose to write instead of ruminate, I'm changing my path. You're not chasing perfection. You're choosing direction. Let's gather the key pieces one more time. You struggle to sleep because your brain is trying to protect you. It scans for danger, replays the past, and lives in imagined futures. Your main traps are personalization, catastrophizing, and time traveling in your mind. When you can't sleep because of overthinking, you don't need to argue with every thought. You need a simple way to shift your focus back to what you can control. That's the dichotomy of control. What's mine? What's not? You use journaling to move worries out of your head and onto paper. You use Memento Mori to remember that your time, especially your nights, are too precious to donate to endless loops. Your 10-minute Stoic reset looks like this. Notice the spark. Name the fear. Note it down with those 3 lines. What my mind is trying to solve right now is. What I can't control tonight is. What I can control tomorrow is. Then you ask yourself, is this worth another night of my limited life? And you answer with your actions. You breathe. You rest. You trust yourself to handle things in the daylight. Before we end, I want you to try something with me. Pick one worry that has been haunting your nights lately. Just one. Now, in your mind, walk it through that filter. What my mind is trying to solve right now is. Finish it silently. What I can't control tonight is. Name at least one thing. What I can control tomorrow is. Name one small step. Feel the difference between those 3 lines and the vague swirl of panic. Clarity beats chaos. You don't have to fix your whole life tonight. You just have to choose not to abandon yourself to the spiral. Epictetus said that we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond. You didn't choose to have an anxious mind. You didn't choose every event that shaped you. But you can choose what you do with your racing thoughts at night. You can choose whether you fuel them or guide them. You are not here to live a life ruled by your impulses. You are here to learn how to use them. So, here's my question for you. What is one small change you're willing to make tonight? Will you put a notebook by your bed? Will you try the 3 lines once? Will you practice that one question? What part of this is mine to control? If any part of this helped you feel a little less alone in your overthinking, if it gave you one tool you can use when you can't sleep because of anxiety, I'd love for you to share it with someone who might need it too. And if you want more Stoic, practical tools for emotional control, consider subscribing and leaving a comment with the one idea you're going to try tonight. Not someday. Not when your life is less busy. Tonight. Because your time here is limited. Your nights are part of your life, not a waiting room for tomorrow's problems. You deserve rest. You deserve a mind that serves you, not scares you. And slowly, one 10-minute reset at a time, you're teaching your mind exactly that.